Eniola Akintola spent her whole life believing she was nothing more than a poor relation living on another family's mercy. She cooked before dawn, slept in a tiny room behind the store, and heard the same painful words every day. Be grateful, stay quiet, know your place. Then, Chief Kayode Adebayo arrived in Ibadan with his grieving daughter, Dara. Kayode was rich, powerful, and still broken by the death of his wife. Dara had almost stopped smiling, eating, and sleeping through the night. But one evening, under an old mango tree, Eniola did what nobody else could do. She made the little girl feel safe again. That single moment changed everything. Soon, Eniola was accused of stealing a precious family heirloom, forced to leave the only home she had ever known, and taken to Kayode's vast cocoa estate. But just when love began to grow between them, an old man arrived, carrying a battered briefcase and a secret powerful enough to destroy everything Eniola had ever believed about herself. Because the woman everyone treated like a burden was never poor, and the people who claimed to save her had been hiding the truth all along. Before dawn, while most of the old compound still slept, Eniola Akintola was already awake. The first call to prayer from a distant mosque drifted over the roofs of Ibadan, mixing with the soft clang of a neighbor's metal gate and the sleepy crowing of roosters. In the kitchen at the back of Mama Bosede's large family compound, Eniola crouched beside a gas burner, stirring a pot of pap with one hand while turning akara in hot oil with the other. Eniola! Mama Bosede's voice came from the main building like a bell calling trouble. Eniola closed her eyes for 1 second. I am coming, Mama. Coming where? Since when? The children will wake soon. Has the dining table been set? Has the tea water boiled? And who told you to use the good tray for akara? Eniola looked down at the tray. It was an old enamel tray with one chipped corner. Yes, Mama. Do not yes me from there. Move. Eniola lowered the flame, wiped her hands on the side of her wrapper, and hurried into the main house. To visitors, Eniola was introduced as our poor relation. To Mama Bosede, she was a debt that never finished paying itself. Your mother died bringing you into this world, Mama Bosede had told her many times. My husband took pity on you. Since he died, it is me carrying your matter. Do not behave as if this house owes you anything. Eniola never answered back. That morning, Ronke and Shade were sitting in the parlor in matching silk bonnets, scrolling through their phones while waiting for breakfast. Ronke looked up first. Eniola, where is my black lace blouse? I washed it yesterday. It is hanging in the back veranda. You should have ironed it. You did not say you needed it today. Ronke raised one eyebrow. Must I explain every breath I take in this house? Shade laughed softly. Eniola said nothing. Mama Bosede entered carrying a cream envelope. Ronke, sit well, she said. You too, Shade. This is not an ordinary week. Ronke sat up. Mama Bosede lifted the envelope as if it contained a government appointment. Chief Kayode Adebayo is coming tomorrow. Even Shade dropped her phone. Which Kayode Adebayo? She asked. Mama Bosede stared at her. How many Kayode Adebayo do you know that own cocoa estates from Ondo to Oshun? Ronke's face changed immediately. He is coming here? Ronke asked. He will stay for 4 days. There is a meeting with some landowners and exporters in Ibadan. His late father and my husband did business together. I invited him. Mama Bosede smiled in a way Eniola knew too well. It was the smile of a woman seeing profit before anyone else saw opportunity. Ronke, she continued, you will wear the burgundy lace tomorrow evening, not that green one. Burgundy makes you look serious. Ronke smiled. Shade frowned. And me? You will not compete with your sister. I did not say you did not need to. Eniola stood beside the doorway holding a stack of napkins. Mama Bosede turned and saw her. And you, Eniola stiffened. You will stay out of sight. The room went quiet. Mama Bosede spoke as if she were giving an ordinary kitchen instruction. No entering the main parlor when our guests are here. No carrying trays into the dining room. Kemi and Bose will handle service. You will stay at the back. Eniola lowered her eyes. Yes, Mama. Ronke crossed her legs. Good. We do not need village confusion. Eniola said nothing. She carried the napkins away and returned to the kitchen. The akara had started burning. By afternoon the next day, the whole compound was in a state of controlled panic. Eniola remained at the back, just as she had been told. Still, when the convoy arrived, she heard it. The deep hum of engines, the opening of the compound gate, voices changing tone. Even the house itself seemed to stand straighter. She looked through a narrow gap near the kitchen corridor. A black SUV stopped under the mango tree. Chief Kayode Adebayo stepped down. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed simply in a dark blue agbada with subtle embroidery. He did not look like a man trying to impress anyone. He looked like a man who had stopped caring whether people were impressed. His face was calm but not peaceful. There was grief in it, not fresh grief, the kind that had learned how to dress itself and attend meetings. Then a little girl stepped out. She wore a yellow dress and held a soft cloth doll by one arm. She did not smile. Kayode bent toward her. Dara, we are here. The girl looked at the house, then at the strangers waiting to welcome them, and moved closer to her father. Mama Bosede came forward with both hands open. Chief Kayode, you are welcome. Ah, see how long it has been. Thank you, Mama Bosede. And this must be our little princess. Dara did not answer. Ronke stepped forward in her burgundy lace. Hello, Dara. I have heard so much about you. The girl looked away. A small shadow crossed Ronke's face, but she recovered quickly. Eniola watched from the corridor until Kemi touched her elbow. Mama said you should not be here. I know. Then go. Eniola went. At one point during dinner, Ronke's voice floated clearly through the corridor. Children must learn discipline early. If you allow them too much, they become difficult. There was a long silence after that. Later, Kemi came into the kitchen carrying a nearly untouched plate. The small girl did not eat. Eniola looked at the food. Nothing? Only water. Did she say why? Kemi shrugged. Maybe rich children have rich hunger. Eniola frowned. Do not talk like that. Kemi laughed. See our saint. Eniola ignored her. Near midnight, the house finally became quiet. Eniola washed the last pot, covered the leftover soup, and checked the back door. She was halfway to her room when she heard crying. At first, she thought it was a cat. Then she heard it again. A child's voice. Soft, broken. Eniola followed the sound through the dark corridor and out toward the courtyard. Under the old mango tree, a small figure sat on the low concrete border around the roots. Dara. She was hugging her cloth doll tightly. Eniola stopped several steps away. My dear? The girl looked up quickly. Her face was wet with tears. I want my mommy. The words entered Eniola's chest like a hand. She knew that ache. Not the same story, but the same empty space. She came closer slowly. Can I sit here? Dara did not answer. Eniola sat anyway, leaving enough space between them. Finally, Eniola asked, Does your mommy live in heaven? Dara nodded. My own mommy too. The The girl looked at her. You also? I never knew her. She died when I was born. Dara's grip on the door loosened slightly. Do you remember her? No. That is worse. Eniola looked at the girl. Children sometimes spoke truths adults spent years avoiding. Maybe, she said softly, but when I miss someone I never knew, I tell myself love can leave traces even when people leave early. Dara frowned. What is traces? Eniola smiled a little. Like when rain falls and stops, but the ground is still wet. You may not see the rain anymore, but you know it came. Dara looked down. My daddy does not talk about mommy. Maybe talking hurts him. He is always working. Maybe working hurts less. The girl thought about that. Then she asked, will you tell me a story? Eniola hesitated. What kind? One that is not sad. So Eniola told her an old Yoruba story about a tiny bird that believed its song was useless until a lost child followed the sound home. Her voice was low, gentle. By the time she finished, Dara's head was resting against her arm. Another one, the girl whispered. Eniola told a second story, then a third. By the middle of the third, Dara was asleep. Then she felt someone watching them. She looked up. Chief Kayode Adebayo stood several feet away. He was no longer wearing the agbada, only a white kaftan. His face was tense with worry, but when he saw Dara sleeping, the worry changed into something else. Shock, relief, pain. Eniola tried to stand. I am sorry, Chief. I heard her crying. I did not mean to. Do not wake her. His voice was low. Eniola froze. Kayode came closer. For several seconds, he only looked at his daughter. She has not slept outside my room since her mother died, he said. Eniola did not know what to say. I am sorry. He looked at her. Why do you keep apologizing? The question confused her. I do not know. Kayode studied her face. Who are you? My name is Eniola. I have not seen you since we arrived. She lowered her eyes. I stay at the back. Why? Before she could answer, a sharp voice came from the veranda. Eniola! Mama Bosede appeared in a wrapper thrown over her night dress. Ronke stood behind her. What are you doing here? Eniola stood carefully, still supporting Dara. I heard her crying. And who told you to interfere? Mama, you only what? Forget your place? The words came too fast, too familiar. Mama Bosede was angry enough to forget who stood nearby. I told you clearly not to come near our guests. You cannot behave like every corner of this house belongs to you. Eniola's face burned. I am sorry. There, again. Kayode's voice stopped everyone. Mama Bosede blinked. Chief? He looked at her, then at Eniola. This woman found my daughter alone in the courtyard. Mama Bosede forced a smile. Ah, yes, Eniola likes children, but she is not trained. She can be too familiar. Kayode's expression hardened. My daughter is asleep. Yes, Chief. She has not slept this peacefully in months. Ronke stepped forward. Perhaps Dara was simply tired. Kayode looked at her once. Ronke stopped talking. Then Dara stirred in Eniola's arms. Kata, she murmured sleepily. Eniola blinked. The girl opened her eyes slightly and reached for her. Do not go. Something changed in Kayode's face, a crack in the stone. He turned to Eniola. Can you take her to her room? Mama Bosede opened her mouth. Kayode continued before she could speak. And tomorrow morning, I would like Eniola to help with Dara. Mama Bosede's smile disappeared. Chief, we have other girls for that. I am sure you do. His voice remained polite. That is not what I asked. Silence. Eniola looked from Mama Bosede to Kayode. She felt fear before relief. Fear because kindness had never come to her without someone else demanding payment. Fear because Ronke's eyes were already burning. Fear because the man standing before her had looked at her like she was not invisible. Kayode gently took Dara from her arms, but the girl immediately reached back. Eniola. Kayode paused. Then he said, "Come with us." It was not an order. That made it more frightening. Eniola followed him through the corridor. At the door to Dara's room, Kayode stopped. "Thank you." Eniola lowered her head. "You do not have to thank me." "I do." She did not know what to do with gratitude, so she said the only thing she knew. "Good night, Chief." "Good night, Eniola." She walked back toward her small room near the store. Behind her, the house settled into silence again. But something had shifted. For years, Mama Bosede had taught Eniola to survive by disappearing. That night, under an old mango tree, a grieving child had held her hand, and a powerful man had finally asked the question no one in that house had ever cared to ask. "Who are you?" Eniola did not yet know the answer, but for the first time in her life, someone had made her believe the answer might matter. By 6 the next morning, Dara was already sitting on the low step outside the kitchen, swinging her legs and waiting for Eniola. The child wore a soft pink dress and held her cloth doll under one arm. The sun had barely climbed above the compound wall, but the household was awake. Somewhere outside, a woman selling moi moi called to early customers. The smell of fried plantain drifted from the back kitchen. Eniola stopped when she saw her. "My dear, what are you doing here?" "Waiting." "For who?" "For you." "You should be inside." "Daddy said you will help me this morning." Before Eniola could answer, Mama Bosede appeared. "Eniola, are you standing there to grow roots? Breakfast must be on the table before 7. Dara slipped her hand into Eniola's. "Dara, Ronke has coloring books for you." "I want Eniola." Kayode entered in a cream kaftan. "Is there a problem?" "None," Mama Bosede said quickly. Kayode looked at his daughter. "Do you want to go?" Dara shook her head. "Then she does not have to." "Children must learn to mix with people," Mama Bosede said. "They learn faster when they do not feel forced." Kayode looked at Eniola. "Have you eaten?" "Yes, Chief." His eyes moved to the untouched bowl of pap near the stove. "No, you have not." Dara tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, Eniola should eat with me." "Then bring her breakfast here," Kayode said, and walked away. Mama Bosede waited until he disappeared. Do not mistake this thing for favor. One child is crying and suddenly people are looking at you. "I have not done anything." That is what worries me. Ronke appeared behind her mother. Some women know how to make helplessness look attractive. Eniola lowered her eyes. Dara frowned. "You talk badly." Ronke's face stiffened. "What?" "You talk badly to Eniola." Eniola knelt quickly beside the child. "My dear, you must not speak to elders like that." "But she did." "I know. Still, respect is respect." Dara folded her arms. "I do not like her." "Dara?" Kayode's voice came from the corridor. The girl looked guilty. "You apologize." "Sorry." Ronke smiled with satisfaction. Kayode added, "And Ronke, perhaps ask yourself why a child thought your tone was unkind." The smile vanished. By afternoon, Dara followed Eniola everywhere, sitting on a stool while she peeled yam and asking about every spice. "What is this?" "Crayfish." "And this?" "Locust beans." "It smells strange." "It tastes better than it smells." Dara made a doubtful face. "You Nigerians say that about many things." Eniola laughed. "You do not laugh much," Dara said. "I laugh. Not when Mama Bosede is near." Eniola nearly dropped the spoon. "My dear, you notice too much. My mommy said I had sharp eyes." The room went quiet. "Do you want to talk about her?" "Sometimes." "Then talk when you want." At lunch, Dara ate almost a full plate of rice and stew. Kayode noticed. Afterward, he found Eniola in the back corridor, folding napkins. My daughter ate. Yes. She has been refusing food for months. Maybe she was hungry today. You do that. Do what? Make something important sound small. Eniola looked down. Dara trusts you, Kayode said. She is a child. She does not trust easily. Maybe because I do not ask her to perform. Kayode's expression changed. What does that mean? Eniola regretted speaking. When adults see sad children, they often want the sadness to finish quickly because it makes everyone uncomfortable. They say, smile, eat, greet people, be strong. Maybe Dara is tired of being told to stop missing her mother. Kayode said nothing. I am sorry, Eniola whispered. There, you are apologizing again. I spoke out of place. No, you spoke the truth. Then Kayode said quietly, I did not know how to help her. I know how to build warehouses and negotiate with exporters, but grief does not respect authority. He no longer sounded like Chief Kayode Adebayo. He sounded like a tired father. Maybe she does not need you to fix it, Eniola said. What does she need? To know you are still there when she is sad. He looked at her for a long moment.
Who taught you that?
No one. That is why I learned it. That evening, the first serious trouble came. The Adebayo family had brought a small wooden chest containing documents and a few items that had belonged to Kayode's late mother. Among them was a gold pendant set with coral beads, promised to Dara when she was older. After dinner, Mama Bosede asked to see it. Ronke held it against her neck. It would look beautiful with deep red asoke. It is for Dara, Kayode said. Of course, I was only admiring it. The next morning, the compound woke to shouting. The pendant is missing, Ronke's voice carried from the parlor. Doors opened. Workers appeared. Mama Bosede called everyone together. Kayode stood near the center table, his face unreadable. Who entered this parlor after dinner? Nobody answered. Mama Bosede placed a hand on her chest. This is a disgrace. In my own house. I saw Eniola passing through the corridor late, Ronke said. All eyes turned. I was taking hot water to Dara's room, Eniola said. And after that, I went back to the kitchen. Mama Bosede sighed. Eniola, nobody is accusing you. Kayode looked at Eniola. Mama Bosede said, for everybody's peace, we should check rooms. Eniola's chest tightened. No. The word escaped before she could stop it. Mama Bosede stared. No? You can check, but do not say it is for peace. Say you suspect me. A murmur moved through the room. You are becoming bold. Kayode raised one hand. Enough. Check every room, including guest rooms. Mama Bosede's confidence flickered. When they reached Eniola's small room near the store, everyone followed. Her bed was narrow. Her clothes fit inside one old bag. One woman lifted it. Something wrapped in cloth fell out. The pendant. The compound went silent. For a moment, Eniola could not breathe. Mama Bosede covered her mouth. Jesus. Ronke stepped back as if shocked. Eniola stared at the pendant on the floor. I did not put that there. Do not make it worse, Mama Bosede said. I did not take it. It was in your bag. I am telling the truth. Mama Bosede turned to Kayode. Chief, I am ashamed. I raised her under my roof. I fed her. I clothed her. Eniola's eyes burned. You also made sure I never forgot it. Mama Bosede gasped. See her mouth. Kayode raised one hand. Silence. He looked at the pendant, then at Eniola. Did you take it? No. Did you enter the parlor after dinner? Only the corridor. Who saw you? Dara. A small voice came from the back. I saw Ronke. Everyone turned. Dara stood near the corridor holding her door. Kayode's face tightened. What did you see? Dara pointed at Ronke. She went to Eniola's room. Ronke laughed too loudly. Children imagine things. I do not. When? Kayode asked. Before breakfast. I was looking for Eniola. Mama Bosede moved quickly. Dara, perhaps you are confused. I am not confused. Kayode looked at Ronke. Why were you in Eniola's room? I was not. Then where were you? In my room. Who saw you? No answer came. Kayode turned to the gatekeeper. Is there CCTV covering the back corridor? The man nodded. The camera near the generator house sees part of that side. Within 20 minutes, they watched the footage. It was not perfect, but it was enough. At 6:18, Ronke entered the corridor, carrying something wrapped in cloth. At 6:22, she came out empty-handed. Nobody spoke. Ronke's face went pale. Mama Bosede said, there must be explanation. Kayode turned to Ronke. There is. Give it. Ronke began crying. Chief, I only wanted to protect Dara. Protect her from what? From a woman we know nothing about. She has entered your daughter's heart too quickly. She's trying to become important. Kayode's voice became colder. So you planted my mother's pendant in her bag? I made a mistake. No, you planned a lie. Mama Bosede stepped forward. She was jealous. Young women do foolish things. Eniola looked at her. Kayode turned to Eniola. She was standing too still. Eniola, she looked up. I am sorry. The room paused. For what? That this happened in front of me. Her lips trembled. Kayode faced the room. Eniola is innocent. No one will repeat this accusation to workers, neighbors, church members, or family friends. Mama Bosede's jaw tightened. My daughter came here unable to sleep. Eniola gave her peace. In return, this house has humiliated her twice in less than 2 days. Chief, with respect, I am leaving tomorrow. The room changed. Mama Bosede blinked. Leaving? Yes. And Dara? With me. Kayode looked at Eniola. I want you to come. Eniola stared. Mama Bosede laughed sharply. Come where? To my estate in Ondo. As what? As Dara's companion and governess. Proper salary, proper room, written terms. Mama Bosede's face hardened. She has no training. She has what my daughter needs. She is family. Eniola almost laughed. Kayode's voice remained level. Then as family, you should be happy she has an opportunity. Mama Bosede looked at Eniola. That look carried 20 years of warning. Eniola, you are not going anywhere. For the first time, the decision was not entirely Mama Bosede's. The room waited. Eniola looked at the old bag, at the pendants that had nearly destroyed what little name she had, at Dara. The child walked toward her and slipped a hand into hers. Please, come. Eniola looked at Kayode. His face offered only an open door. Can I think about it? Kayode nodded. Yes. Mama Bosede looked furious. And no one will pressure her, Kayode added. That night, Eniola sat awake on the edge of her narrow bed. Leaving meant danger. Staying meant certainty. She would always be reminded of food, shelter, and clothes, and one lie could destroy her because nobody needed evidence to believe the worst. Near midnight, there was a soft knock. Dara stood outside. I cannot sleep. Eniola opened the door wider. The girl climbed onto the bed beside her. Are you coming with us? I do not know. If you stay, will they make you sad? Eniola could not answer. Dara leaned against her. My daddy is sad too. I know. Maybe all of us can be sad in one house. Eniola laughed through sudden tears. That is not a very good plan. Dara smiled. But we can become happy small, small. Small, small. Little by little. Eniola held the child close. Inside a room that had never truly felt like hers, she understood something. Some doors did not open because you were brave. Sometimes they opened because staying had become more frightening than leaving. The next morning, before the sun fully rose, she packed everything she owned into one old bag. 3 dresses, 2 wrappers, a small Bible, her mother's faded photograph, and the courage she did not know she had. When she stepped into the courtyard, Kayode was waiting beside the SUV. Dara ran toward her. "You came!" Eniola smiled. "Yes." Mama Buset stood on the veranda with her arms folded. "Do not come back crying when rich people remember who you are." The old words entered. For once, they did not stay. Eniola lifted her head. "I know who I am, Mama." It was not completely true, not yet. But as Kayode opened the car door and Dara pulled her inside, Eniola allowed herself to believe that perhaps she was finally going somewhere she might find out. The road from Ibadan to Ondo stretched beneath a pale morning sky, red earth showing where the tar had broken under years of rain. Eniola sat in the back of the SUV with Dara beside her and her old bag between her feet. For the first hour, she said almost nothing. Dara did enough talking for both of them. Will there be monkeys at the estate? Maybe. Snakes? Probably. Big ones? Eniola looked at her. Why are you suddenly interested in snakes? I want to know what to run from. Good. Start by running from anything that has no legs and still moves faster than you. Dara laughed so loudly that Kayode glanced at them through the rearview mirror. Eniola noticed the way his face changed when he heard the child laugh, as if someone had opened the window in a roof shut too long. The farther they drove, shops thinned out, giving way to cocoa farms, cassava plots, and thick bush. By late afternoon, the SUV turned through tall black gates marked Adebayo Estate. Cocoa trees stood in ordered rows. Workers moved with baskets. Beyond a long warehouse rose the main house, large but restrained, built from cream stone with deep verandas and dark wooden doors. The place was beautiful and somehow sad. Dara pressed her face to the window. We are home. Home. For Dara, it meant return. For Eniola, it meant a place she had never been sure existed. The SUV stopped. An older woman in a green wrapper hurried down the steps. My baby! Dara flew out. Mama Tinu! The woman gathered her into a fierce embrace. See how thin you have become. Chief, were you feeding this child air? Kayode gave a tired smile. She refuses to eat. Mama Tinu looked at Dara. Is that true? No. Good. Tomorrow morning, you will prove it with yam and egg. Only then did she notice Eniola. This is Eniola, Kayode said. She'll be staying with us and helping Dara. Mama Tinu studied her, then smiled. Any person who can make this small madam hold hand like that is welcome. Come inside. The room they gave Eniola was on Dara's corridor. She stood in the doorway, stunned. It had a proper bed, wardrobe, writing table, 2 windows over the cocoa trees, and a bathroom. Dara bounced onto the bed. See, you can sleep here. All this is for me? Mama Tinu raised one eyebrow. Who else? Ghost? I am not used to space. Well, space does not bite. Enter. That night, Eniola unpacked her 3 dresses, 2 wrappers, Bible, and the faded photograph Mama Busede said was her mother. Then she sat and listened. No shouting, no one calling from the kitchen, no footsteps asking why she was resting. The silence should have felt peaceful. Instead, it made her uneasy. At 5 the next morning, habit woke her. Mama Tinu found her washing cups. What are you doing? Helping. Who asked you? No one. Then leave those cups. Eniola froze. Mama Tinu sighed. Sorry, you are not kitchen staff here. I do not know what else to do with my hands. The older woman poured tea. You came from Mama Bosede's house? Yes. I know the type. Big gilly, loud praise, small mercy. A laugh escaped Eniola. Good, Mama Tinu said. Your face knows how to do that. Later that morning, Kayode called Eniola into his study. The room was lined with books and estate records. On one wall hung a photograph of a smiling woman beside Kayode and a much younger Dara, his late wife. Kayode handed Eniola a folder. Your contract. She stared. Read it. There was a salary, private room, weekly day off, and medical care. This is too much. No. I have not earned it. You will. What exactly is my work? Help Dara return to a routine. Lessons, meals, rest, play. You are not her servant. You are not replacing her mother. You are there because she trusts you. And if I fail, then we adjust. No threat, no warning. Eniola signed with a hand that shook. The days developed a rhythm. Dara claimed handwriting after breakfast was against human rights. Eniola told her human rights did not include refusing multiplication tables. Dara complained to her father. I support democracy, Kayode said. Dara brightened. After homework, the child groaned. Little by little, she ate more, slept longer, and stopped waking every night. Eniola taught her puff-puff, Yoruba songs and stories. Dara taught Eniola how to use a tablet without pressing every button as if it had offended her. Sometimes they visited the workers' quarters. One afternoon, Eniola noticed several children sitting outside while others went to school. Why are they not in class? A worker named BC shrugged. Some are waiting until next term. Some families cannot buy books yet. Eniola began bringing old storybooks from the house. At first, 3 children came, then 7, then 12. They gathered under a mango tree behind the staff clinic, sitting on benches and overturned crates. Dara joined them proudly. My Eniola knows stories. Eniola corrected her. Our stories. One evening, Kayode returned from Akure and found the group there. Eniola was telling a tortoise story. The children shouted answers. Dara laughed. When Eniola saw him, she stood. Chief! Everyone went quiet. Dara shouted, Daddy, sit down. Kayode looked at his white kaftan, then at the dusty bench, and sat. After the story, one boy asked, Chief, do you know any story? No. Dara said, tell the one about when you fell from a bicycle. That is not folklore. It is funny. Soon, the children were chanting, Bicycle, bicycle. Kayode looked at Eniola. This is your fault. For bringing literacy. For giving them courage. He told the story badly. The children loved it. Afterward, while they walked back, Kayode said, You have started a school. It is not a school. There are children, books, and someone giving assignments. It is only in the evenings. You need more benches and a board. Eniola looked at him. You approve? I have asked the estate manager for years to improve staff education. He kept giving me proposals. You started with 3 books. I did not ask permission. No, she stopped. I am sorry. Kayode laughed. What? You said sorry again. She looked embarrassed. I am trying to stop. Small, small. The phrase reminded her of Dara in Ibadan. Maybe all of us can be sad in one house. Maybe we can become happy, small, small. But happiness did not arrive without fear. One Sunday, relatives of Kayode's late father came from Lagos in expensive lace and with the confidence of people who believed family gave them permanent voting rights in another person's life. Auntie Kudirat looked Eniola up and down. So, you are the new governess. Yes, ma. You are trained? No, ma. Teacher? No. Then what exactly are you? The old question. Who are you? I take care of Dara. That is not a profession. Before Eniola could respond, Dara ran in. It is. She makes me eat. She teaches me. She knows when I am sad before I talk. Auntie Kudirat laughed. Children become attached to anybody who gives them attention. Kayode entered from the veranda. Then perhaps adults should learn from children. His aunt turned. Kayode, we are only concerned. Dara needs stability. She is more stable now than she has been in 2 years. The family has been patient. Patient about what? Marriage. The word entered the room like smoke. Eniola looked down. You need a wife from a proper family, Auntie Kudirat said. Someone educated, someone who can stand beside you and represent the Adebayo name. Kayode's face closed. I did not invite you to arrange my life. Later, while helping Dara prepare for bed, Eniola heard the words again. Proper family, educated, represent the name. She had none of those things. After Dara slept, she went to the back veranda. Kayode found her there. You are avoiding dinner. I am not hungry. That is not true. She looked at him. You know too much about people not eating. I learned from Dara. He stood at a respectful distance. My aunts were rude. They were honest. No. They said what people think. People think many foolish things. Chief, Kayode, she looked away. You do not have to defend me. I know. Then why do you? He took time before answering. Because you accept the worst thing said about you as if it must be true. The sentence hurt. I know where I come from. Do you? She looked at him sharply. What does that mean? It means Mama Bosede told you a story about yourself for years. You repeat it like scripture. She raised me. That does not mean she defined you correctly. Eniola felt anger rise. You do not know what it is to owe people for food, to hear every plate counted, to know one mistake can send you outside. No, Kayode said, but I know what it is to let pain become law. She said nothing. He looked towards the dark cocoa fields. After my wife died, I made grief the ruler of this house. I called it respect. Really, I was afraid that if I allowed laughter back, it meant I loved her less. Do you? Love her less? He shook his head. No. I just understand now that memory is not a prison unless we build walls around it. His honesty unsettled her more than authority ever could. A few days later, a letter arrived. Eniola did not know about it at first, but that evening Kayode was quiet at dinner. Dara noticed. Daddy, did someone die? Kayode almost choked on water. No. You look like when people come for condolence. Eniola hid a smile. After Dara went to bed, Kayode remained at the table. Eniola began gathering plates. Leave them. Sit. Her body tensed. You are not in trouble. She sat slowly. He placed the letter on the table. My family council is meeting next month. For business? For marriage. Eniola's fingers went cold. They have suggestions, he said bitterly. She forced a smile. That is good. No. You need a wife. He looked at her. Do I? Dara needs stability. She has stability. A mother. The word escaped painfully. Kayode leaned back. A mother is not a position to fill like estate manager. No. You think I should marry one of the women they suggest? Eniola lowered her eyes. I think you should do what is right for your family. And what do you think is right? She could not answer. The truth was selfish. She had started noticing when his car returned. When he laughed, something in her became warm, and the thought of a beautiful, educated woman from a respected family arriving frightened her more than returning to Mama Bosede. That night, she decided she should leave before she forgot her place again. The next morning, before she could speak, An old man arrived at the estate. He came in a faded brown suit, leaning on a walking stick and carrying a battered leather briefcase. The gatekeeper called the house. He says his name is Baba Samuel. Kayode came outside. The old man removed his cap. I need to speak with you. About what? Baba Samuel looked toward the veranda. Eniola was standing there with Dara. The old man's face changed. About that young woman. Eniola felt the world shift. Baba Samuel stared at her as if he had seen a ghost. Then he whispered a name she had not heard in many years. Adesewa. Eniola froze. That was her mother's name. Kayode's expression sharpened. You knew her mother? The old man's eyes filled with tears. I knew more than her mother. He lifted the briefcase. I have carried this truth too long. The air seemed to stop. Dara slipped her hand into Eniola's. All her life, Eniola had believed there was nothing to discover. No family waiting, no hidden story, no reason anyone would search for her. But the old man looked at her like a missing piece of a life he remembered. For the first time, Eniola feared the truth more than any lie. Baba Samuel was taken into Kayode's study, but Eniola remained in the corridor, unable to move. Adesewa. Her mother's name had not been spoken with recognition in years. Mama Bosede had always said it carelessly, as if Adesewa had been only a difficult chapter everyone preferred to close. Your mother made bad choices. Your mother left problems behind. Your mother was weak. Eniola had heard those versions so often that she had stopped asking questions. Now an old man had looked at her and cried. Dara squeezed her hand. Are you afraid? Yes. I can come with you. No, my dear. Why? Because some things are for adults. Dara frowned. Adults always say that when they are about to cry. Kayode stepped into the corridor. You do not have to hear anything you are not ready to hear. I am ready. Are you sure? No. He nodded. That is honest enough. Inside the study, Baba Samuel sat with both hands resting on his battered leather briefcase. Mama Tinu took Dara away. Eniola sat opposite the old man. Kayode remained near the window. Baba Samuel looked at her for a long time. You have her eyes. My mother? Yes. Who were you to her? I worked for a man called Eniola Akintola. Eniola's fingers tightened on her dress. Akintola, her own surname. I was his accountant, Baba Samuel continued. And he was your father. Eniola stared. No. My father was never in my life. That is what you were told. I was told nothing. I had no father. My mother died. Mama Bosede took me in. That is all. Baba Samuel opened the briefcase. Then let us begin with what is not all. He removed several old photographs. The first showed her mother outside a primary school, beside a tall man who smiled at her instead of the camera. Another showed him beside a cocoa warehouse. Who is he? Eniola whispered. Olusegun Akintola, your father. Kayode spoke quietly. I know the name. Akintola Produce and Commodities. Your father built the company from cocoa buying, warehousing, and export. Your mother was a teacher outside Ilesa. They met when his company funded repairs to her school. My mother loved him very much, and he loved her enough to fight his whole family. Then Adesewa became pregnant. What did he do? He was happy. The word hurt. He knew about me. He knew. Baba Samuel took out a folded note. This was written in his hand. What does it say? The old man read softly. Samuel, make sure the trust papers are completed before the baby comes. Adesewa worries too much. I want my child protected from every quarrel in this family. Eniola covered her mouth. What trust? We will come to that. No, first tell me what happened to him. Baba Samuel lowered his head. 3 weeks later, he died in a road accident on the old Ibadan Ife road. He died before I was born? Yes. And my mother? She died after giving birth to you. Eniola stood and walked to the window. The cocoa trees outside blurred. So they both knew about me? Yes. They both wanted me? Yes. The tears came quietly. For years, she had imagined herself as a burden left behind after other people's lives moved on. Now, 2 dead people she had never known were reaching across time to tell her she had been expected and loved before she had even taken her first breath. Kayode came closer but did not touch her until she turned. Then he held out one hand. Eniola took it. When she could breathe again, she faced Baba Samuel. What happened after my mother died? Before she died, Adeshiwa asked Mama Bosede to protect you. Eniola closed her eyes. Why her? Because Bosede's late husband had done business with your father. Your mother believed the family connection was enough. And the trust? Baba Samuel opened another file. Your father created it for his unborn child. Shares in Akintola produce and commodities. Land, investment income. You are saying I had money? You had security. Then why did I grow up hearing that every plate of food was charity? Baba Samuel looked down. Mama Bosede became your temporary guardian. The trust paid for your care. Eniola laughed once. There was no humor in it. All those years, she said I should thank her for feeding me. The trust paid enough that you should never have slept in a storeroom. Kayode's jaw tightened. Eniola looked at the old man. And you knew? Yes. Why did you not come? Cowardice. The honesty stopped her. I can give excuses. Your father's family was fighting over the company. I was threatened. I had children. Bosede had legal papers. But the truth is that I was afraid. His eyes filled. And fear made me useful to bad people. Eniola said nothing. I kept copies of everything. I told myself I would come when it was safe. 1 year became 5. 5 became 10. Why now? Because I am ill. My heart is weak. I did not want to stand before God carrying a truth that belonged to you. He pushed the briefcase toward her. These papers are yours. Letters too? Baba Samuel removed a bundle tied with faded blue ribbon. From your father to your mother. The top envelope read, Adesewa, my stubborn teacher. Eniola could not read more. Not yet. Is the company still there? Kayode answered. Yes, smaller than before, but active. Baba Samuel nodded. Your father's shares in the trust were never legally cancelled. Where is the money? Some is still in accounts connected to the trust. Some appears to have been diverted. To Mama Bosede, there are transfers to companies linked to her family. Kayode spoke. You will need an independent lawyer. Eniola turned. You? If you want my help. The old instinct rose. I cannot pay you. This is not a transaction. Everything becomes one eventually. Not everything. You do not know that. No, he said, but I know I am not Mama Bosede. That night, Eniola sat on the floor beside her bed with the letters spread around her. One complained that Adesewa had refused to let Olusegun buy her a car because she did not need a car to prove love, and he should fix the school windows instead. Eniola laughed through tears. Another letter was written after they learned about the pregnancy. My love, I know you are afraid. I am afraid too, but this child will never need to beg for a place in this world. Whatever happens between our families, our child will know she was born from love and not shame. Eniola stopped reading. She cried until dawn. At dawn, Kayode knocked. I saw your light. I am fine. He looked at her swollen eyes. No. She stepped aside. My father said I would never beg for a place in the world, she said, and I spent my whole life doing exactly that. What happened to you does not cancel what he wanted for you. It feels like it does. No. How can you be sure? Because people can steal time, they can steal money, they can lie about your name, but they cannot change why you were born. Eniola wiped her face. I do not know who I am now. You are still Eniola. That sounds too easy. It is not. He looked at the letters. You are the same woman who heard my daughter crying when everyone else was asleep. The same woman who started teaching estate children without waiting for a committee. The same woman who still says sorry when somebody else steps on her foot. A weak laugh escaped her. That last one is not a good quality. No, it is deeply annoying. 3 days later, Barrister Nneka Okafor arrived from Lagos. She was elegant, direct, and unimpressed by family drama. I need facts, she said, not what somebody's auntie said at Christmas. Facts. For hours, she examined the documents. Finally, she removed her glasses. The trust appears valid. The share register supports it. The land titles will take more work. There are also transfers from trust-linked accounts that require explanation. Transfers to who? Companies associated with Mama Bosede and her late husband. What are my choices? We can demand records, freeze disputed transfers where possible, petition the company board, and go to court if necessary. And Mama Bosede? She will receive notice. Eniola's hands went cold. Barrister Nneka noticed. Being afraid does not mean you are wrong. Eniola took a slow breath. Start. The notice reached Ibadan 2 days later. Mama Bosede called before sunset. Eniola watched the phone ring until it stopped, then again. On the 5th call, she answered. What nonsense have you started? Mama Bosede asked. I am asking questions. About money? So this is what rich people have put in your head. No one put it there. Chief Kayode is using you. You knew my father. Silence. You knew Eniola Akintola. People are filling your head with old stories. Did he leave a trust for me? No answer. I raised you, Mama Bosede said. That is not my question. I fed you when your mother died. With whose money? The silence changed. You ungrateful girl. There it was, the old chain. Usually, those words pulled Eniola down immediately. This time, they did not. I am grateful for what was good, Eniola said, but I will not be grateful for what was stolen. You think because a rich widower is looking at you now, you have become somebody? I was somebody before he saw me. Eniola ended the call. Kayode was standing at the far end of the veranda. Are you all right? No. Do you want company? She looked at him. Yes. So they sat without speeches, listening to evening insects and workers returning home. After a while, Eniola said, Your family council is next week. You remembered. You should go. To choose a wife? To hear them. I have heard them for 2 years. You still need someone suitable. Suitable for what? For your name, your business, Dara. Dara already knows who she wants around. That is different. Is it? Eniola stood. I should go. Why? Because I am confused. So am I. She turned. Kayode's expression was no longer guarded. I think about you when you are not in the room. Her heart stopped. I come home earlier because I know you and Dara will be here. I hear you laugh and remember this house was not always a graveyard. Kayode. It was the first time she used his name without being asked. I did not plan this, he said. Neither did I. Then do not tell me to choose a woman because other people think she looks correct beside my surname. You learned yesterday that I may have money, shares, a name. Kayode's expression hardened. Do not do that. Do what? Use the worst thing you believe about yourself to insult what I feel. I noticed you in Ibadan when you had one old bag and believed an enamel tray was too good for you. I watched you stand before a room full of people while they called you a thief. His voice softened. I knew nothing about Olusegun Akintola then. I am not asking you for anything tonight, but do not tell me my feelings started with documents. He walked away before she could answer. The next morning, Barrister Nneka received an urgent message. The company board had agreed to review Eniola's claim. There would be a formal meeting in Lagos. At the same time, one of the disputed accounts had been emptied during the night. Millions of naira were gone. The transfer led to a company connected to Mama Bosede. The legal fight had begun. And for the first time, Eniola understood that truth would not simply be handed back because it belonged to her. She would have to stand up and claim it, not as a servant asking permission, not as a poor relation begging for mercy, as Eniola Akintola, daughter of Adeshiwa, daughter of Olusegun, and a woman who was finally beginning to believe that being loved was not the same thing as being rescued. Eniola sat beside Barrister Nneka in the back of Kayode's SUV, holding a folder so tightly that its edge pressed into her palm. Breathe, Nneka said. I am breathing. No, you are performing breathing. Kayode glanced back from the front seat. They were heading to the Lagos office of Akintola Produce and Commodities, the company that carried Eniola's surname, even though she had never stepped through its doors. When the SUV stopped, she looked up at the sign, Akintola Produce and Commodities Limited. Her father's name, her name. Kayode opened her door. You do not have to prove your worth in that room, he said. They already think I am a fraud. Then let them be wrong loudly. Documents were examined. Signatures were compared. Baba Samuel joined by video call and repeated his testimony. One director asked why Eniola had waited so long to claim her rights. Because I was told there were no rights to claim. Another asked whether Kayode had financed the legal action. Nneka answered before Eniola could. My client's legal fees are irrelevant to the validity of her claim. My father created the trust before I was born. Chief Kayode was not there. He did not sign it, hide it, or spend from it. If you have questions about the money, ask the people who controlled it. By the end of the meeting, the board agreed to recognize her provisional claim while independent auditors examined the records. It was not victory, but it was the first door. Outside, reporters were waiting. Questions came at once. Miss Akintola, is it true you grew up as a housemaid? Are you claiming millions of naira? Is Chief Kayode planning to marry you? Did his influence force the board to accept your claim? Nneka whispered, do not answer. They were almost at the SUV when one reporter shouted, did you always know who your father was? Eniola stopped. Kayode said softly, leave it. But she turned. No. The cameras moved closer. I did not know. I spent most of my life believing my survival depended on the mercy of people who knew more about my story than I did. I am here because documents were found and because questions deserve answers. Do you want revenge? Eniola thought of Mama Bosede. No, I want the truth to stop being profitable for the people who hid it. The clip spread before they reached their hotel. For one day, people praised her. By the second day, the attack began. A popular gossip blog posted an old photograph of Eniola entering Kayode's estate. Who is the real Eniola Akintola? The article claimed she had known about her inheritance long before Baba Samuel appeared. Then came an audio recording. A woman's voice, frighteningly similar to hers, said, "Once Kayode helps me take control of the company, nobody can touch me." Eniola listened twice. "That is not me." Nneka took the phone. "I know. It sounds like me. Technology can imitate almost anything now." More files appeared. Screenshots of alleged messages, cropped photographs, a false document claiming Kayode had paid an investigator months before Eniola supposedly learned who her father was. At the estate in Ondo, Dara found one of the videos on a staff member's phone. When Eniola called, the child sounded frightened. "Are people coming to take you away?" "No, they are saying bad things." People say bad things when they do not know the whole story. "Do you know the whole story?" Eniola closed her eyes. "Not yet." Dara was silent. Then she said, "I know you." Those words nearly broke her. That night, Kayode came to Eniola's hotel room, but waited outside until she invited him in. "The documents are false," he said. "That does not matter online. It will matter legally. By then, everybody will have decided. People forget quickly. I do not." Kayode stopped. Eniola stood by the window. "In Ibadan, I was the ungrateful orphan. At the estate, I was the governess reaching above herself. Now I am a fraud using a rich man. You are none of those things. You say that because you care about me. Yes, that is exactly what they are using." Kayode's face tightened. "What do you want me to do?" "I do not know." "Do you want me to step away? For the company?" "No, for you." She turned. "If my presence gives them a weapon, I can remove the weapon." "Would you?" "If you asked." She shook her head. "No. I am tired of losing people because someone else decides I am not worth the trouble." He came closer. "But I need to fight this as myself, not as the woman behind Chief Kayode." "You will." "And you?" "I will stand beside you." The next morning, the company board suspended final recognition of her claim pending review. One director privately advised Kayode to distance himself. "You have shareholders," the man said on speakerphone. "You cannot attach your name to every scandal." Kayode looked at Eniola. "My name was attached when the rumors praised me. It will remain attached now." "This woman may cost you." "She already gave me back more than money can measure." He ended the call. Nneka sighed. "Very romantic. Now let us find criminals." Dara called after dinner. "Eniola, I remembered something." "What?" "The day before we left Ibadan, Ronke was talking to one man near the back gate." "What man?" "I do not know. He wore glasses." "Did you hear them?" Ronke said, "When it starts, people must believe she planned everything." Eniola's skin went cold. "Are you sure?" "Yes." The date was before Baba Samuel arrived at the estate. Someone had known the truth was coming. Baba Samuel was questioned again. At first, he remembered nothing useful. Then Nneka asked who knew he had kept copies of the trust. The old man went silent. "A lawyer. Name: Barrister Bolahan Fashanu." The name changed the investigation. Fashanu had once worked for Mama Bosede's late husband. He had also handled companies that received money from Eniola's trust. Bank records showed payments from one of Mama Bosede's companies to a Lagos digital media consultant. The consultant had contact with the gossip blog. Another payment led to a voice actor, then to a former employee of Akintola Produce who had access to old letterheads. Nneka leaned back. "They were not only trying to discredit you." "What else?" They wanted the board to freeze your claim long enough to move more assets. Kayode's expression hardened, so the scandal was covered. Yes. Within 2 days, a court order froze several connected accounts. That was when Mama Bosede called Kayode. "You are destroying my family." Kayode put the call on speaker. "No, your records are doing that. You think she loves you. She knows how to look helpless." Eniola went still. Kayode's voice became quiet. "Do you understand what you did to her? I raised her with her own money. I gave her a home. You gave her a debt and made her pay it every day." Mama Bosede laughed bitterly. "You men become foolish over a soft face." Kayode looked at Eniola. "No, I became less foolish because of her." He ended the call. "I know many people have questions," she began. "Some files shared online were designed to make it look as if I planned to enter Chief Kayode Adebayo's life and use him to claim my father's company. I did not know my father's story until Baba Samuel came to the estate. I did not know a trust existed. I did not know money meant for me had been controlled by other people." A reporter shouted, "Why should anyone believe you?" Eniola looked at him. "You do not have to believe me because I cry well or because a powerful man stands near me. Believe records, believe dates, believe bank transfers, believe independent investigation." She held up a copy of the court filing. The first false post was paid for through a consultant connected to a company receiving money from the trust. The audio was manipulated. The documents were fabricated. These matters are now before the proper authorities. Who do you accuse? I will not conduct a trial on social media. Do you forgive your relatives? The question surprised her. Forgiveness is not the same as pretending nothing happened. I do not want anybody destroyed, but peace does not require a victim to continue paying for someone else's comfort. The board reinstated the review. Auditors presented preliminary findings. Large sums had been diverted over years. Property linked to the trust had been used as security for private loans. Mama Bosede and Ronke were invited for questioning. Ronke disappeared. For 3 days, nobody knew where she was. Then, she was found at a hotel in Abuja. Officers searching her room found 2 phones, payment records, and draft messages that had never been posted. One draft read, "If she survives the scandal, release the story about the child." Kayode read it twice. What child? The answer was in another folder. Ronke had been preparing a false story that Eniola had mistreated Dara and manipulated the grieving girl in order to reach Kayode. That was the final line she had been willing to cross. Kayode wanted charges pursued immediately. Eniola agreed, not because she hated Ronke, because Dara was not a weapon. At the formal hearing weeks later, Mama Bosede looked smaller than Eniola remembered. There was no compound around her, no daughter sitting nearby, no workers waiting for orders, only a table, lawyers, and records. Mama Bosede refused to look at Eniola. Then she said, "After everything I did." Eniola answered quietly, "That sentence controlled me for 25 years. You would have died without me. Maybe, and maybe you saved my life once." The room stilled. But saving a child does not give you ownership of the adult she becomes. Mama Bosede looked away. Eniola was recognized as Olusegun Akintola's daughter and beneficiary. The board restored her father's shares to the trust, pending final transfer. Dara ran down the veranda steps before the SUV stopped properly. "You came back!" Eniola opened the door. "I said I would." Dara held her tightly. That evening, Eniola stood under the mango tree where the estate children had first gathered for stories. Kayode came to stand beside her. "So, Miss Shareholder," She gave him a warning look. Do not start. Madam Director? Kayode. He smiled. I missed that. What? You say my name as if I am troublesome. You are troublesome. They stood in silence. Then Eniola said, I know what I want to do with some of the money. He waited. I want to build something for girls who live in homes where everybody tells them they should be grateful for being tolerated. A school, part safe house, legal support too. Some girls lose inheritance because they do not know papers exist. Some are pulled out of school because one relative decides their future. You have been thinking too much. I like it. I did not ask if you liked it. His smile widened. Good. She looked at him. I also want to stay. The smile disappeared. At the estate? With Dara. And me? Eniola took a breath. With you too. Kayode did not move. I am still afraid, she said. Sometimes I think one day you will see what everybody else saw and decide they were right. They were wrong. I know that here. She touched her head, but not always here. She touched her chest. Kayode stepped closer. Then we do it small. Her eyes filled. You remember? I remember everything important. He took her hand. This time, Eniola did not wonder what she owed him for the kindness. She only held on. Far from Lagos, far from cameras and boardrooms, the estate settled into evening. And for the first time in her life, Eniola understood that winning was not becoming too powerful to be hurt. It was becoming free enough to choose what happened next. The first thing Eniola did after the court papers were signed was not buy a car. She did not move into a larger room. She went back to Ibadan. Kayode did not ask why. Dara insisted on coming. I want to see the old house. There is nothing there for you. There was you. That ended the argument. The compound gate looked smaller than Eniola remembered. For years, it had seemed like the edge of the world. Now it was only metal. Dara climbed down first. Where was your room? Eniola pointed towards the back. The room was empty. The walls were stained and the narrow window faced the store. For years, she had believed she should be grateful for this place. Now she felt only sorrow for the young woman who had slept there and thought survival was the same as belonging. Kayode remained at the door. You do not have to stay. I know. In the kitchen, the old enamel tray with the chipped corner was still on a shelf. Eniola picked it up. You are taking that? Kayode asked. Yes. Why? To remember that I once thought this tray was too good for me. Dara frowned. It is not even a nice tray. Eniola laughed. Exactly. Before leaving, she stood beneath the mango tree and remembered Mama Bosede calling her name like an accusation. She remembered Ronke's laughter. She remembered the first night she heard Dara cry. Ready? Kayode asked. Eniola looked at the house one last time. Yes. She did not say goodbye. Some places were not homes. They were lessons. 3 months later, a sign rose near the eastern boundary of Adebayo Estate. Adeshiwa House for Girls and Women. Eniola had argued about the name. It should not be about me. It is named after your mother, Kayode reminded her. That is still about me. Barrister Nneka rolled her eyes. Every time a woman does something good, she wants to disappear from the signboard. Allow people to know who built it. Dara became the unofficial ambassador. She painted a sign for the reading room that said, Every girl needs books and biscuits. Nneka complained that biscuits were not a legal right. Dara disagreed. Then the law is incomplete. Eniola's shares in Akintola Produce were formally restored. She joined the board and refused to become a ceremonial face. When one director explained cocoa procurement to her as if she were a child, she answered with questions about losses, spoilage, and suspicious commissions. Later, Kayode smiled. You frightened a director. I asked questions. You are becoming dangerous. Good. One evening during the rainy season, Eniola returned from the center and found the estate unusually quiet. No workers near the veranda, no Mama Tinu shouting at somebody, no Dara running toward the car. She entered the house. A trail of small white flowers lay across the floor. Then Dara jumped from behind a chair. Surprise! Eniola screamed. Dara laughed so hard she almost fell. Why would you do that? Daddy said I should be quiet. Kayode appeared. I said wait. You were slow. Eniola looked at the flowers. What is happening? Walk with me. The flowers led outside, past the cocoa trees, toward the old mango tree where she had first taught the estate children. Under it stood one bench. No crowd, no musicians, no photographers, only Mama Tinu, Dara, and Baba Samuel with his walking stick. What did all of you do? Dara whispered loudly. You are not supposed to know yet. Kayode faced Eniola. I had a speech. That is worrying. I changed it 6 times. More worrying. He took a breath. I spent years believing my life had already reached its final shape. I had Dara. I had work. I had responsibilities. I thought that should be enough. He looked toward his daughter. After my wife died, I became very good at functioning. Dara nodded. He was boring. Mama Tinu covered a laugh. Kayode continued. Then you came into our lives. You came into my life in Ibadan. Technically, you were hiding from me in a kitchen corridor. I was following instructions, and I am very grateful you eventually stopped. Can I finish? Eniola smiled. Yes. You came with one old bag and enough apologies for 10 people. You did not try to impress anybody. You just noticed what hurt. His voice softened. You noticed Dara. You noticed the children here. You noticed people who had been told they should accept less because somebody once gave them something. He stepped closer, and you noticed me. Her throat tightened. You saw grief without trying to remove it. You saw fear without calling it weakness. He reached into his pocket. Kayode. Yes? Are you doing what I think you are doing? I hope so. Dara clapped both hands over her mouth. Kayode went down on one knee and opened a small wooden box. Inside was a simple gold ring with a deep green stone. I did not choose the biggest one. Thank God. Eniola, sorry. No, you are not. She was crying now. I do not want to rescue you, he said. She went still. I think we both know you do not need rescue. I want to build with you. The words struck deeper than any promise of protection. I want to argue about school budgets with you. I want to hear you and Dara complain that I work too much. I want to come home and know this place is alive because we chose to keep it alive. He looked up at her. I cannot promise a life without loss. I know better than that. But I can promise you will never have to earn your place beside me by becoming smaller. Eniola's tears fell. Will you marry me? For years, she would have asked why. Why me? Why not someone better? Why would a man like you choose a woman like me? The questions rose, then passed. Yes. Dara screamed. Kayode stood quickly. Yes, Eniola said again. But I have one condition. I knew it, Dara groaned. Eniola looked at her. No one in this family will ever make you feel that loving me means forgetting your mother. The girl's face changed. Eniola knelt. Your mommy is part of your story. I will never compete with a woman who loved you before I knew you existed. Dara's eyes filled. Can I love both? Yes. Forever? Yes. Dara threw her arms around her. Kayode turned away and wiped his face. Mama Tinu saw him. "Chief, are you crying?" "No." "Rain is falling only on your face? Please leave me alone." The traditional introduction ceremony came first. Eniola wanted something small. Nigerian families heard that request and laughed. An elder from Eniola's father's family stood to speak for her. That nearly broke her. She had spent most of her life believing there was no family to stand behind her. Now, an old uncle she had only recently met said, "Our daughter is not being given away because she is property. She is joining hands with a man she has chosen." Eniola lowered her head, not in shame, to hide tears. When Kayode's representatives asked for the bride, Dara appeared first, wearing a veil and walking with exaggerated seriousness. Everybody laughed. Kayode covered his face. Dara pointed at him. "You have to pay." "For you?" "Yes. You are expensive." "Good." Finally, Eniola entered in deep emerald asoke with gold details. The courtyard changed because she walked slowly, head lifted, without asking permission from the room. Kayode stared. Dara whispered, "Close your mouth." He did. At the blessing, elders prayed for peace, patience, health, wisdom, and a home where people could speak truth without fear. That prayer mattered most to Eniola. The church wedding came 2 weeks later. Before the ceremony, Baba Samuel gave her an envelope. "I found this in my papers." Inside was a letter Olusegun had written before she was born. He hoped his child would be stubborn like Adeshewa. He hoped she would ask difficult questions. He hoped she would never confuse wealth with worth. Eniola laughed and cried at the same time. "He would have liked you," Baba Samuel said. "You do not know that. I knew him. What would he say now?" The old man smiled. "He would say the wedding is too expensive." Eniola laughed. Then Baba Samuel added, "And he would be proud." At the altar, Kayode promised truth, respect, and a love that was not ownership. When it was Eniola's turn, she looked at Dara first, then at Kayode. "I used to think home was the place where people allowed you to stay." The church became quiet. "I know better now." She took his hands. "Home is where you are not punished for having needs, where your voice does not become evidence against you, where love does not keep a ledger." Kayode's eyes filled. "You and Dara taught me that." A year later, Adeshewa House opened a second center outside Ibadan. The reading room at Adebayo Estate became a proper learning building. Akintola Produce created a scholarship fund for children of farm and warehouse workers. Dara grew taller. She stopped waking from nightmares every week. Sometimes she still cried for her mother. Eniola sat with her. No one told her to move on. One evening, Eniola found the old chipped enamel tray hanging on the wall of her office. Kayode had framed it. She stared. "You did not." "I did. This is ridiculous. It is history. It is ugly. So are many historical things." Below it was a small brass plaque. "Nothing you survived defines what you deserve." Eniola read it twice and looked at him. "You're becoming sentimental. I married you. It was inevitable." Outside, children were leaving the center. One new girl remained behind, quiet, always apologizing. Eniola recognized the posture, the lowered head, the fear of taking up space. She walked towards her. "What is your name?" The girl whispered it. Eniola sat beside her. "You do not have to speak loudly today. Tomorrow, maybe small. The girl smiled. Eniola felt something inside her become still. For years, she had waited for the past to be corrected. It never could be. Her mother would not return. Her father would not walk through a door. The nights in that little room in Ibadan had happened, but pain did not have to be the final owner of a story. Sometimes, the best answer to what had been stolen was to build what should have existed. A safe room, a fair contract, a school, a family, a place where a frightened girl could hear that survival was not a debt. That evening, Eniola returned home after sunset. Kayode was on the veranda with the file open. "You are working. So are you." "I finished." "So did I." "You are lying." "Yes." She sat beside him. Dara's laughter came from inside the house. The estate was no longer quiet. Eniola leaned her head against Kayode's shoulder. "Do you regret anything?" "Many things." "That is not romantic." "You asked." He took her hand. "I regret the years I spent believing that closing my heart was the same as being loyal to the dead." "What about you?" Eniola looked toward the cocoa trees. "I regret believing people who benefited from my silence." Then she smiled. "But I do not regret leaving with one old bag." "Good. And your family was right about one thing." Kayode frowned. "What?" "You needed a wife from a proper family." "Eniola," she laughed. "I made my own." He stared at her, then smiled. "Yes." Inside, Dara shouted, "Mommy, Eniola! Daddy, come and see!" Eniola stood. Kayode remained seated. "She will come outside if we wait." Eniola looked at him. "Kayode." He sighed and stood. They went in together, not because every wound had disappeared, not because the world had suddenly become fair, but because love, at its best, had never been a reward for perfection. It was a place built patiently, truth by truth, choice by choice, small. And for Eniola Akintola, the woman who had once been taught to survive by disappearing, that was the greatest miracle of all. She was no longer hidden. She was no longer asking permission to exist. She was home.